Guild Raid finally returned for the second time. Welcome back to Corky Gachas, and in this video I'm going to touch on Charite, which has returned for the second time and what has changed, as well as how I'm able to achieve damage like this, right, in the Charite Guild Raid boss by min-maxing a lot of stuff. So first things first, we're going to look at her skill set and what exactly changed and what you need to take note of. First thing is the Beam of Destruction. This is basically the laser beam, whereby if you don't handle her mechanic, you are going to be lasered in the face, right? And this time around, it's going to permanently decrease your magic resistance by 100%. Skill cannot be dodged, which means you really don't want to be hit by this. Even if you're a Petra, you're not going to survive anymore, which means that Petra trees don't work anymore. You need to come up with new shreds, right? And this one is very important, so definitely have to avoid it. And how do you avoid it, right? It's by the absorption mechanic. Second one, absorbs energies from enemy souls with the most HP, decreasing HP by 75% and stunning the target for 8 seconds. So it deals a lot of damage to the target itself, but you can mitigate it, and how you do it is by having a shield on this unit, meaning you need to have a shield on the unit with the most HP when she does her absorption skill. And what it does is that she would reduce her mana to 0 if you have the shield active. So this one is shield mechanics is very important. If you have a shield, you wouldn't be beamed, right? Very important. So next one, we are going to talk about the bombardment. So this is very basic, right? It's just a bombardment whereby it reduces your attack for 10 seconds. Nothing too much to be worried about. You can cleanse it off, but I don't think it's that necessary. Next is the charge. Temporary ignores all incoming damage as she dashes forward and inflicts damage on all enemies and knocks them down. So the key thing here is that ignores all incoming damage. So you don't want to burst her when she's using her charge skill. So how do you do that? Later I'm going to touch on that further. And the last one is the tip, right? Charite is a beast, so Charite's confidence shrivels when her attack decreases, causing her to receive greater damage. So what you need to do is to have attack down skills or units so that you are able to increase the damage that you do to Charite, and it is by 50%. It's a lot, so you definitely need to make use of this on all your teams to achieve maximum damage on the Charite boss. So now that we know her kit, I'm going to introduce to you guys certain units that is going to counter a kit directly, and the first one is the attack down aspect, and this is very important because plus 50% damage is very crucial in hitting high damage. So from the Beast faction, we have Mika as well as Suni and also Flynn. So if you have a Flynn, you can also use her technically as a DPS, although I wouldn't exactly recommend her because she is ranged and harder to help. Next, from the Fairy faction, we do have the Chloe as well as Erica, but I don't have Erica. I do think that both these units are quite good. Erica, especially when it comes to Charite boss, I think she is designed to counter, although she is fairy type, so you might need some help to keep her alive, but her attack down is quite consistent. Chloe's ones come in lower rotation speed, right? So I wouldn't exactly recommend. And then lastly, we do have the Undead, and in Undead faction, we have Violet as well as Petra. These two are the ones that have attack down, and honestly, I would say the best one across all these factions, right, will probably be Suni as well as Mika and also Erica. If you have Erica, right, Chloe is good because she's a tank, but I wouldn't exactly say that she's the best when coming to attack down. Petra as well as Violet is also very good. So those 4 units are the key ones that I think are good for attack down, especially because Suni has 2 attack downs and Petra has a very fast rotation, which also ties in with her skill deflection, right, her damage deflection. So this is very good. Violet is also very strong when it comes to attack down. I think it's 10 seconds or something. Mika has a normal rotation whereby she uses her attack down, but if you use her Suni, then you have perma attack down on your team. So that is very good. So now that we're done covering the attack down resulting in more damage done, right, we also need to take note of the shield aspect, because without the shield you cannot cancel her absorption mechanic and you will get beamed and die horribly. So you don't want to do that. And the Queen of Shields is going to be Catherine's, and she's the only one with an active shield. I do believe that Erica also has an active shield, but it's on Eureka too, so it's not as reliable. But with Catherine, it's 100% reliable. As long as you time it, you are able to do it all the time. But we also need to fill 3 teams, right? And this time around, the mechanic is that they don't allow us to fill duplicates. You can see my Catherines here are very useless because they cannot be fielded anymore. Quite sad. So the thing is that we have to rely on passive shields, and Petra is one of those units that have the passive shield. So you can look at her skill over here. There is a soul release, and you can see shield HP changes, right? So every time she casts soul release, she's going to shield up all her allies. So this is going to be absolutely crucial and very, very useful. So that's why you want a Petra team also. And then lastly, there is also going to be a Siha. So Siha, when she dances with Mika, right, you have to use them together. Then she would have the shield aspect coming into it. And also we do have Adrian, but I don't think she is as reliable. And I also know that there are other units such as Claire that have shields, but they are also not as reliable because they are sub skills. And also if your Claire is not as highly ascended, her might not be the highest HP, so you only provide shield to yourself. So that's the reason why I don't really recommend. So this 4 are the units that I would recommend. So from this aspect, you can also think of it as a team building aspect, right? You want a team with Petra because this is one of the shields, Catherine with one of the active shields, and Siha with one of the active shields. So you're going to have an Undead team, Catherine team, as well as a Siha team, Beast team. So this is how I would look at team building, and how this shield mechanic is very, very important, and why you need to split them up to make all your teams have this shield counter. Now, once we settle both of her mechanics, you still have to remember that DPS is still key, because accumulated damage is important for you to get those sweet, sweet rewards, and also the damage is going to determine how much you are going to contribute to the guild score. Which is why definitely we need to have DPS, and the ones that I recommend is the human faction. Simply put, Charite is a beast unit, so you need to have human factions to have the most effectiveness against beasts, and also you're going to take less damage when it comes to Charite attacking you, which is why you can see right here Lindsay, Aki are the top dogs, and also you want Memphi to be with them somewhat, because you want to provide the crit rate to this unit so that they can crit more and can do more damage through crit damage, right? So these are the 3 key units I would say definitely. Also for Beast faction, Haru is definitely a mandatory, right? So you can see right here we have Haru, and the reason why Haru is so good is because her passive gives 30% attack to everyone when she is near other units, which Beast faction is very easy to trigger. You can also try slotting her in other factions, but I would suggest going with a full Beast, right, with Haru. And lastly for Undead, I'm going to say that Violet is the MVP. She can do a lot of damage at low ascension, so I would say that these are all the MVPs when it comes to guild rate. So try to team build around this units. Now, of course, I understand that at this point, a lot of you might still be confused, like what exactly am I talking about? The mechanics, I don't know how it looks like. I don't know how to counter it, right? Even though I know the units. And that is why I'm going to demonstrate to you using this sample team. So going into the battle, you're going to see it for yourself. I'm going to slow down and pause at important moments so that you are able to register the mechanics and also counter them using your own runs, right? By looking at my run as a reference. So going into it, this is very simple and sample, nothing too out of the ordinary, right? But here I'm going to pause, I'm going to go inside the battle log, and you can see the battle status right here. Charite actually has a shrivel mechanic, and why is it so? It's because Sunni has applied an attack decrease. So you can see, right, not just Sunni, but all the units that I mentioned having attack decrease, you want to line up your attack decrease, right, with the with your burst itself, because they are going to take 50% more damage. So you can wait for this attack down and then use your main skill, use your ultimate, right? Especially ultimate, you don't want to waste it without the 50% damage. It's going to be very key in doing high damage, and this is one of the most important things. So going to battle, the next thing we are going to look at is the red orb mechanic, right, which is the absorption mechanic. So I'm going to slow down over here. You can see once the whale is going to prepare to open the mouth, you are going to want to shield, because look at the red orb, right? It's targeting our Lindsay because Lindsay is highest HP, but nothing happens to our Lindsay. Why is that the case? Because I have a shield on her. So you want to usually cast it right before her mouth opens, because once she opens her mouth, right, Lindsay will be stunned for the entire duration, even though you apply shield to her afterwards. So that is something that you really need to take note of. So now I'm going to show you guys the burst. What I mean by that is, look at this. I'm going to use my Sunni, apply the attack debuff, and then not using the shield, right, but use the other skills, right? Look at this, bam, bam, bam. All of them is going to do a lot of damage because of the attack down, which causes the shrivel, right? So that is one thing that is also very important. So secondly, now you can see I still have the shield. Okay, that's why she lost a bit of her mana, but still the shield ran out, which is why now she's going to cast the laser, right? You can see the consequences of not having the shield right here. So we're going to just let you guys see the consequences, which is her casting the ultimate, and it's not going to do that much, right? Comparatively, you're going to think that, hey, this is not going to do that much. But once you have that debuff, magic resistance minus 100% on you, you're going to have a bad time, because all her other skills are going to do so much damage to you, and you're just going to die off very, very easily. And the second one is most likely going to kill you. Look at this, right? We are only at 84 stacks, but the damage is so high already. So I'm going to retry That is the key for the first part. The second part I also want to touch on is the charge mechanic. So we are just going to try to have her charge, right? And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So you can take note at the health bar right over here, and I'm just going to accumulate my main skill. So the charge mechanic is very easy to tell. Basically, she just goes back, right? So this is the op mechanic. We're going to dodge it. Same thing here, right? Reduce the increase the shield so that we reduce the damage taken by Lindsay to 0, and then look at this. This is a charge skill. So you have to remember that on her rotation, she has this charge skill, but you might not know what exactly it does. But what it does is that it reduces incoming damage to 0. So you can see, we're going to wait for her next charge, and then I'm going to demonstrate to you guys. You are going to see the effect, right? So the charge is very simple, right? She's going to back off, right? Once she back off, look at this. If I use my ultimate, look at the health bar. No damage. No damage, guys. No damage. 0 freaking damage. So you don't want to burst when she's using the charge skill. Wait for her to return to the center floor, then you start bursting again. Because multiple times I've retried runs because I cannot I burst during the charge skill itself, so that is very important. Now lastly, I'm also going to touch on the importance of the retry button and how exactly it works in the guild raid this time round. So looking here, you can see my Sunni is about to die, right? And this is going to demonstrate to you what exactly I mean by the retry buttons, right? So going into it, this is the second battle, and when I go to the retry button, guess what? It's not going to retry the first battle, meaning you are also going to retry at the respective battle that you are in right now. So what you can do is, if you really want to min-max, you can retry and retry for the first battle, right? Once you're done with that, going into the second battle, you can retry and you can min-max the second battle. So you can min-max one battle at a time. You don't really have to like retreat to go back to the first battle, second battle, third battle, right? In that case. So retry button is very, very useful for min-maxers. For casual players, I don't think it's as important, but just something to take note of. So at this point, I've covered all the mechanics. I've shown you how to counter them, but you might be still saying, hey, Cocky Gachas, I don't have a good team. I don't have high ascension units. That's why I cannot do high damage. And I will tell you, you are wrong. And the reason why you're wrong is because you're able to do it with a very budget team. And how to do it? Definitely check out this video I've made over here. I'm going to showcase to you how to do it, show you the damage, and how exactly you are going to maximize the damage using that budget team. So I'll see you guys over there. This is Cocky Gachas, signing off.